Joining me now for this interview is none other than Cathal O'Sullivan, Head of Monetization at Sandsoft. Cathal, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
So diving straight into the monetization side of things, how does Sandsoft approach ad monetization across its portfolio of games? And what strategies do you think have proven to be most effective?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And the approach varies depending on the game, right? We have games that are more tailored toward a casual audience, hybrid audience. We have games that are developed by third party and in-house. So it's totally flexible depending on the needs of the audience as well as the needs of the developer itself. For me, I think the most important thing comes down to the player experience itself. I am a huge proponent of player experience, of the game being essentially fun. You know, you can wrap all sorts of fancy innovation and technology and live ops, all these different things, but at the root of it, if the game isn't fun,
Right.
there's not much opportunity to scale. So what I like to do is really work closely with the data team to get as much insights, granular insights as possible on the engagement data, step by step along the player journey, as well as really working with the product team. I think this is a shift in the monetization world. It used to be all about, you know, managing waterfalls and boring out ad network stuff,
Yeah.
but times have changed a bit, and now it's really getting into the deeper level when it comes to how the players are experiencing the game. I think when you're implementing any kind of ad mon solution, it all comes down to how it affects the player engagement, the player experience, constantly listening to them and evolving your approach depending on the needs of the player.
Interesting stuff. So I'm going to ask you the million-dollar question now for all people in AdMon, and that is, of course, how do you ensure a balance between a good level of ad revenue, but also making sure that it doesn't disrupt the player experience?
Look, it is a million-dollar question, and when it comes to the balancing part, I could probably sit here for another hour talking about all the different ways we could do it. For me, it comes down to, okay, there's a few approaches here. So one, I always like to make sure that any kind of ad integration is tailored and segmented to the different cohorts of users. There's not a one-size-fits-all solution. Some games might just require reward videos. Some might be suitable for banners or interstitials, even in-player audio ads, depending. It's totally dependent on the game. What it comes down to is delivering to each player what their kind of needs are. So segmenting it, segmenting is really, really important. I would say that when you're working on an AdMon kind of solution, it is how the core loop evolves and how ad monetization kind of fits into that. It's not a case of building out the game and then kind of slapping on a rewarded video at the end.
Yeah.
It has to be a curated and careful approach to it.
Right.
So I think I've always been at the mindset that I like to segment the users based on their kind of player profiles or player personas.
Mm-hmm.
So some people might be motivated by power, speed, cosmetics. You know, some players love hints while some players hate hints.
Right.
It totally comes down to the player base.
It's all about player customization, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
So if you can tailor the rewarded videos to not only just like, you know, give a base reward to everyone, but like what actually do those players want as a reward?
Yeah.
So if you have, let's say, 4 rewarded videos, each one of them should be tailored depending on a different kind of inherent motivation of that cohort.
Yeah.
And what I try to do is make sure that anything that you're implementing with AdMon ultimately improves retention, IAP conversion, or generally just makes the game better.
Right.
You can't just block fun just because you want to squeeze a player. It's not about that.
Yeah.
The idea is that a player should want to log on and be happy to click an ad because they love what they're getting and they want to support the game developer, they want to support the game's growth and the industry, and they're not being almost held hostage by not engaging. It's okay if the player doesn't engage with ads or IAP. Let them play and eventually they will come to love the experience and return that, you know, twice-fold.
Absolutely. Well, brilliant stuff, Cathal. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem at all. Thanks very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.